Hi guys, welcome to Bio-Explaining. This is the second part of our revision series for CBSE Class 10, where we are practicing the biology syllabus through 100 name the following or one-word answer questions. So let's get started. Okay, so let us see what are the first 5 questions. They were quite easy, na? Let's check. 51. The phase of relaxation of the cardiac muscle is diastole. Then, practice of controlling the number of children one has and the interval between two children is family planning. So, this inverted red triangle, okay, the triangle is like completely red in color. The inverted red triangle is the symbol for family planning in our country. Next. Two main hormones produced by ovaries. One is progesterone and the other is estrogen. A spelling starting with O for estrogen is also correct. Then, protective covering in the Earth's atmosphere, it is the ozone layer, ozone O3. Next we have process of transfer of pollen from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower on a different plant. That is cross-pollination. Two things we need to remember here. What are they? One is that cross-pollination is also known as, one term is xenogamy, the other term is allogamy. Second thing we need to know is that different plant, right? But this different plant has to be of the same type or species. Okay. Only then will pollination occur. Okay. Try your hand at the next set of questions. Let's get started with the checking. A vein which carries oxygenated blood, pulmonary vein. So just for information, the pulmonary vein runs from the lungs to the left auricle of the heart, right? So the function of the lungs is to do what? It oxygenates the blood. That is the deoxygenated blood that comes, that is oxygenated. And this oxygenated blood from the lungs is carried to the left auricle via the pulmonary vein. So this is an exception that's important for us to remember, that in spite of being a vein, it carries oxygenated blood. Next, where either the male or female, so it is a unisexual flower. The term monosexual flower is also correct, but unisexual is the preferred answer. Long tube-like structure which carries sperms from the epididymis to the urethra. It is the vas deferens, also known as the sperm duct. Fine. Next, artery carrying deoxygenated. This is the pulmonary artery. What does it do? It carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle. From the right ventricle to the lungs. It takes the deoxygenated blood to the lungs to get it oxygenated. Then we have the type of asexual reproduction that can be shown by both yeast as well as hydra. It is budding. That is, small buds are formed onto the parent body, and once the bud has become mature, now it detaches from the parent body, it falls on the ground and starts to grow as an individual organism. The next set of questions is as follows. Okay, let's check. Other name of the fallopian tube, it is the oviduct. So how many fallopian tubes are present? We have one pair of fallopian tubes, each running from each of the ovaries to the uterus. The process of burning waste at high temperature to form ash is known as incineration. The vessel or machine where the above process is carried out, incinerator. That is, incineration occurs in the machine known as incinerator. Then, surgical method where the vas deferens is cut and ligated, vasectomy. So, what is done in this method? The sperm duct of the male is cut and then it is ligated, meaning it is tied. So what is this method used for? This is a surgical method which is a permanent or irreversible method of contraception in case of males. What do we call it to be? Permanent or irreversible method of contraception. And goes without saying that it is done in the males. Okay. Then surgical method where the fallopian tube is cut and ligated is tubectomy. So in this method also, that is, the fallopian tubes are cut and then tied. So this is again similarly a permanent or irreversible method. It is done in case of females. Okay. So vasectomy and tubectomy are the two surgical methods that will lead to permanent contraception. Okay, so now see if you can answer the next 5. Let's start checking. The process of utilization of digested food for energy and for growth and repair is known as assimilation. That is, the different steps followed are: first there will be eating, that is ingestion. Okay, so I'll just write the steps. First there is eating, which we call to be ingestion. Followed by ingestion, we have digestion, right? Okay, then after digestion, all the nutrients will be absorbed by the body. So absorption. And then what do we have is this assimilation. That is, the digested food will be used to get energy. After assimilation, whatever is undigested, that will pass out of the body through the process of egestion or defecation. Fine. Next, storage form of energy produced by respiration is adenosine triphosphate, ATP. So this is an energy rich molecule wherein 3 phosphates are attached to adenosine. Next, pear-shaped organ where embryo develops inside mother's body. Uterus is the most appropriate answer, commonly also known to be the womb. Other term for mouth, it is the buccal cavity. Then the plant tissues which transport the products of photosynthesis from their production site to others. So that is phloem. So photosynthesis will produce what is the main product of photosynthesis. That is, plant will prepare its own food. Glucose is produced and along with that oxygen is produced. So oxygen will be sent out of the plant body through the stomata mainly, and the glucose that is transported to different parts of the plant via the phloem. Okay. Can you solve the next 5? Let's start checking. The organisms that obtain energy from chemicals derived from breaking down of dead organic matter. Yes, decomposers. So that is why decomposers are known as the natural cleaners of the environment. Why natural cleaners of the environment? Because they will break down the dead organisms or particles into even smaller parts, and ultimately that will be absorbed by the plant roots. Secretion which protects the inner lining of the stomach from the acidic environment, it is mucus. The two types of cells of the root in xylem tissues which are interconnected to form a continuous system of water conducting channels, tracheids and vessels. So these are the two major parts of the xylem, components of the xylem that conduct water. Substances that can be broken down into simpler forms by natural biological process. These are biodegradable substances. The name gives you the answer. Bio matlab living, life, and degradable, that is you can break it down. As product process by which a living being utilizes food to get energy. Assimilation, we have just seen that. Try out the next 5 questions. Time to check. Type of nutrition shown by organisms such as cuscuta and tick. Parasitic nutrition. That means these cuscuta and tick, these are examples of parasites. So what are parasites? Parasites are the organisms that will live on or inside organisms known as their hosts. And why do they do that? Because they want to draw out nutrition from the hosts. So in this relation, what occurs to the parasite is that they get benefited. So they are the positive part of the relationship, while the hosts, they are negatively affected. Okay. Organisms that feed on decaying biomass such as dead plant materials, these are decomposers. Finger-like projections in the inner wall of ileum, it is villi or vilus. So ileum is what? Ileum is a part of the small intestine. How does the villi help? The villi will help to increase the surface area. So how does this increase in surface area facilitate digestion as a whole? It will help in more efficient and faster absorption of the digested particles. Okay. Next, part of the small intestine where major part of digestion takes place, that is the duodenum. Network of different food chains which are interconnected at various trophic levels is a food web. So food chains are linear in nature. That is, you have a plant. The plant is consumed by some herbivore. Herbivore is consumed by some carnivore, and say again another carnivore, that way. But the reality is that this plant can be eaten by the goat. Also, this same plant can be eaten by say the rabbit, right? Now the goat can be eaten by the lion. Say for instance, the goat can also be eaten by the tiger. Now this rabbit can be eaten by the tiger. The rabbit can also be eaten by the lion. So ultimately what happens? This is a network, right? So hence we call this to be a food web. The next set is as follows. Let's check the answers. Part of the small intestine where no digestion takes place, that is the jejunum. structural and functional unit of biosphere containing both living and non-living things. Ecosystem. That means this ecosystem is a unit where there is interaction between the living, that is biotic, as well as non-living, that means the abiotic components. Part of the body which mainly helps in egestion. Egestion is, that is the defecation of the undigested matter, that is the anus. Type of nutrition for digestion takes place before ingestion, or it takes place outside. So this is a saprophytic type of nutrition. Largest internal organ is the liver. The next questions are as you see on the screen. Let's check. Process of breakdown of fats into smaller particles with the help of bile. Emulsification. So say these are the larger particles of fat. What is bile going to do? That is, in the presence of bile, it is going to break down these particles into smaller sized ones, and it will be surrounding themselves. I mean, the bile will be surrounding them. It will form a layer around them. So this kind is known as emulsified fat, right? That is, function of bile is to emulsify fat. Then, type of nutrition where digestion happens inside the body, holozoic nutrition, or we say that ingestion before digestion. Means first the food will be eaten, consumed, and then it gets digested. Ingestion before digestion. Okay. Next, sum total of all external conditions and influences that affect life and development of an organism. Environment. Major driving force in the movement of water in the xylem. Transpiration or transpiration pull. So during the day is important because transpiration occurs because there is the sun present. The sunlight is required. Also, why major driving force? Because there are other forces like the root pressure pushes the water up to some extent, but major force that pulls up water to long distances, that is transpiration or transpirational pull. Next, pigment which renders or gives red color to the blood. So this is hemoglobin, which is also the respiratory pigment of our body. Respiratory pigment. Why is it known as the respiratory pigment? Because the hemoglobin has the ability to bind to oxygen and it forms an unstable compound that is known as oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin can go to the different tissues or cells of the body and then it can give out the oxygen there. The next 5 questions are as follows. Time to check the answers. The basic filtration unit of a kidney is a nephron. It is also known as, in simple words, it's known as the kidney tubule, or another name is the uriniferous tubule. Okay, so this is known as the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Next, cells that are responsible for coagulation of blood at an injury site. So these are platelets or thrombocytes. So in simple words, you can say that they help in the clotting of blood. 2 types of cells in the phloem. that help in transport of food, sieve tubes and companion cells. Process of using artificial kidneys to remove the nitrogenous waste from the blood, hemodialysis or dialysis. Take note that artificial kidney, this is not like a kidney that is implanted into the body. Artificial kidney refers to the dialysis machine. Okay. The waste blood from the body is taken in, purified, and the purified blood is sent back. Tube-like structure which connects the kidneys to the urinary bladder. So these are the ureters. We have one pair of ureter in our body. Each kidney connecting to the urinary bladder. Okay, so you're almost here. Just the last 5 questions for this series. Get started. Let's check the final set. Pale colored fluid which forms the matrix of the blood. It is the plasma. So plasma is known as it is the liquid part of the blood. Pale colored. So it basically, it is straw colored. Hay, and I hope you all know what's hay, right? So that hay colored or straw colored. Two common plant waste products stored in the xylem, mainly in the old xylem, resins and gums. Organ which stores urine until there is an urge for urination. Urinary bladder. So it's a sac-like structure. Site of breakdown of pyruvate to produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. It is mitochondria. So we say that mitochondria is the site where aerobic respiration takes place. What is the meaning of aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration means that we are in the presence of oxygen. Oxygen needs to be present. The respiration will occur in the presence of oxygen. The final one, process of transport of the soluble products of photosynthesis is translocation. What is the soluble product of photosynthesis? Glucose. Right? Great job if you are still here. Congrats on finishing all 100 MCQs for the CBSE Biology revision. So if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel Bioexplaining, and keep visiting our channel for regular videos on biology on various different topics. Thank you. Bye-bye.